Just grabbing my charger. Heading to Sam's for dinner.
Okay, but you'll miss your favorite tenderloin.
Wait, is that the Tuscan herb?
Mm-hmm. Hatfield marinated Tuscan herb. That's a real shame.
Did I say I was going to Sam's? Sam's coming here. Keep up, Dad.
When better care leads to better pork, it's irresistible. Hatfield Pork. Better care, better pork.
And now it's time for No Pucks Given with Dan Kingerski of Pittsburgh Hockey Now. Penguin Scoops locker room buzz and straight-up analysis. No fluff, all hockey. Now, here's Dan.
Well, it is No Pucks Given here on the Pittsburgh Hockey Now platforms. You'll see this on YouTube and the website and the Odyssey podcast network, as well as wherever you get the podcasts, be it Apple and Amazon and Spotify and so on and so forth. I am Dan Kingerski, and if you're watching the video side of this, I'm a little worse for wear. 8 days in California. Man, that is just a different world. When I spent, 6 of those days in downtown LA, and I've got some stories. The things you're going to see in downtown LA. But let's talk some hockey on the No Pucks Given. We're going to go inside the Penguins road trip. Not everything is reportable that you see because, people aren't talking to you or you kind of find yourself in close proximity to areas that are off limits, but you get a sense and a vibe of what's going on with the team. And it really is, I think, an interesting dichotomy for the Pittsburgh Penguins right now. They come home from the 3-game road trip, 4-2, winners of the last 2. 3 very different games. But I guess I should say this because if the opposite were true, we'd mention it. If the Penguins were like in last place or next to last of the Eastern Conference, we would say, that's what we expected. However, in this case, the Penguins come home from this road trip in the first wild card position because of that 4-2 record. Take it for what you will. It's October 20th when you hear this. I'm not saying they're going to win the Stanley Cup, but there are things to note about the Penguins, both good and bad. And we're going to do that. I don't know if you saw my Sunday column on PittsburghHockeyNow.com. If you haven't, go read it. It was written in 1 airport, 2 airplanes, and on a city bus. So if you find a typo, let me know. The early season red flags was the column, and there were 3 things that I pointed out. We're also going to talk on this podcast about some of the green flags, so to speak. There are some things that are wildly exceeding my expectations, which are entirely replicable, sustainable even. So we're going to get into all of that, the players who are on the rise, the players who are in trouble and who are becoming those red flags. We're also going to talk about, I don't know if you saw the PHN Plus exclusive column that I did. I think I published it Saturday morning as we were transitioning from LA to San Jose. And I made a point to talk to some of the veterans who are affected by the lineup shuffling. And I suppose that's the kind way to put it. Talked to Noel Acciari, talked to Sidney Crosby, amongst others. And the question was simple. How do you navigate this situation? How does the team navigate it? I mean, most people, now I'm in media. It's a constant fact of life. Well, not now that I own my own company, but, before then, where somebody's always trying to take your job. That's just media. So that's every day for those of us scumbags in the media. Athletes deal with that as well. Most people, I don't think the person in the cubicle or the office next to you, they're not trying to take your job. They're probably trying to get you to do their job more often than not. Or if they are trying to get your job, it's just get promoted above you, not necessarily take what is yours. But in pro sports, you're sitting in a locker room where everybody has to sort of be unified, especially in hockey, where unity and conformity are so prized, so valued, that, you know, you're sitting looking across the room at somebody who not only might take your role, but also take your job. And you lose, you know, Sidney Crosby used the word livelihood, and I thought that was important. We'll get into that as well. Plus, a couple of reader questions came in via the comments, because I put the little note in the Sunday morning Dan's Daily that if you comment with a question, and both questions actually, well, the one question I'm going to deal with as part of the red flags, but the other deals directly with this sort of the young player, but, you know, someone very much in danger of losing their job. So let's go inside the road trip a little bit, because it was 3 very distinct games. Anaheim, they had plenty of chances, plenty of scoring chances, didn't finish anything. A couple of the guys thought they got goalied. I don't know. I didn't go that far, but their penalty kill was again terrible. Anaheim really took it to them with the man advantage. Anaheim was blasting away. The point had shrunk almost to the, you know, into the circles, because the PK sagged so far. Anaheim pushed them so far. And then at the end of the game, when Parker Wotherspoon takes that delay of game penalty, and believe me, nobody was kicking Parker Wotherspoon harder than Parker Wotherspoon. I mean, we go over to his stall. I mean, credit him. Most guys in that situation, they're not talking to the media that night. They get in the room, they get their gear off as fast as possible, and they clear out like, you know, like Wyatt Earp is coming for them at sundown, and they're gone. You're not getting the chance to talk to them. I really enjoy talking to Wotherspoon. He really is. I'll just give you an example of what a good guy this is. I mean, you've seen on the ice how well he is playing. He is absolutely, I think he's probably playing the best hockey of his life, quite frankly. And you compare and contrast him to Matt Grzelcyk last season, you're like, oh, I see the difference in just the completeness of Wotherspoon's 200-foot game. But, he makes that mistake Tuesday in Anaheim. Tuesday morning after the morning skate, I was, trying to talk to him, and there were a bunch of hockey bags in the way. And, I'm kind of reaching over a little bit, and I think everybody ran over to talk with Harrison Brunick, was it Brunick, or I forget who was sitting beside Wotherspoon in the locker room, who had the stall next. But everybody, all of the TV cameras and everybody just kind of ran over there. And he's like, hang on. And he jumps over the hockey bags and joins me in the center of the very small locker room to have a conversation. My questions, that we wrote about. This is just what kind of guy this is, and it was quite interesting to me that he would go out of his way like that. But he's playing really well. You go to L.A., Brunick gets scratched, comes back in. Brunick plays pretty well. Ben Kindel gets the one-game scratch as they try to keep everybody fresh. Noel Acciari scratched at Anaheim, comes back, has an amazing game against L.A. That might have been Noel Acciari's best game as a Penguin. No kidding. He was just flying. He turned the clock back a solid 5 years. That was the Noel Acciari that Kyle Dubas acquired, giving up a first-round pick a handful of years ago. But I also began to see with the lineup changes, and the reason I kind of bring up both of those games and the on-ice product, Penguins beat LA, obviously. they got some pretty good goaltending by LA. Anton Forsberg certainly was not stellar against the Penguins, and that played a role. We'll talk about Sheloffs and Tristan Jarry maybe another day. But that's when I began to see no one said anything. Don't misconstrue that. But I could see, I could sense, I could feel guys feeling anxious, a little angry, a little sad, getting the healthy scratches, the veterans. I saw one kind of just strolling through the bowels of the arena, nowhere to be, and just sort of dealing with it. And that's the kind of stuff that it really brings the human side to all of this. And that's why Friday morning, when they practiced in LA a day later, I made a point to ask the veterans, how are you dealing with this? How does a locker room deal with this? How do you keep, you're competing. You're competing for a role, your job, with the guy sitting beside you in some cases. And that's where Noel Acciari really dug in a little bit. And he kind of gave me the, I understand what you're saying. Because most of us don't have to go through that. Most people, anyway. I've been through it. I've taken people's jobs, and I've had them taken, and so on and so forth. But Acciari talked about being a good cheerleader. He's like, you're not happy about it, not even a little bit. But this is when you have to, bring the positivity, and you have to be a cheerleader for those guys in the room. You have to want the best for everybody in there. I find that amazing, just an amazing bit of mental acuity and mental strength to do that. I have, in my career, sat in the same press box as a player who was frequently a healthy scratch, who was not happy about it, sitting on his phone just MFing every player on the ice. Picking up every mistake. Oh, that guy sucks. Look, that guy sucks. I kid you not. I've seen it, and no, I'm not going to tell you who it was. That was some years ago. I think a lot of people would succumb and be like that. I thought that was a very normal reaction. But I also asked Sidney Crosby about that. And as you watch these games, understand how badly these guys want to play. It's not about a paycheck. It's about playing. I guess before we left Sunday, before the team left on the West Coast trip, Matt Dumba kind of went to the line, right up to the line of what you can say publicly, saying he felt he should be in the lineup and those sorts of things. Dumba got in Thursday against LA. He and Connor Clifton, and they were just trying too hard. Dumba especially was trying to be all over the ice and really trying to win a job on one shift. And it sort of went sideways on him until the third period when the Penguins finally stabilized that game. But that's what these players are sort of going through and go, inside the room. We talk about, Sidney Crosby. I figured I'd ask the captain how a team navigates that. And I wish I could play the sound for you, but we were in this small rink and everything was echoing. It was really bad sound. What he said was, you have to be conscious that it's guys' livelihoods. And, everybody has to pull together, but everybody also has to be conscious. So it's really, I find that dynamic fascinating. Now, let's talk about the dichotomy of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Because you come home 4-2. There are a handful of players playing really well who might not have otherwise been expected to be playing this well. Ben Kindel, top of the list. If you read the PHN report card following the game on Saturday, I don't think I could have glowed him up anymore. He had a whale of a game. And he had 5 shots, no points, and I still gave him like an A+++++. Because of all of the things he was doing. Back-checked, saved a goal. The way he distributed the puck in the offensive zone, the way he steps in here, steps in there to create space for himself and for teammates.
Are you ready to finally make that dream a reality? Maybe it's updating your kitchen, paying down high-interest credit cards, or covering tuition. Your home is more than where you live. It's also your most powerful asset. At Unlock, we make it simple to turn equity into options. With a home equity agreement, you can access cash today without taking on monthly payments. Imagine the freedom to invest in your home, reduce financial stress, or finally start that big project you've been putting off. It's your home. It's your future. Unlock it today. Visit unlock.com to learn more about a home equity agreement. That's unlock.com to learn more.
Terms and conditions apply. Not all homeowners will qualify. Not available in all states. Actor Portrayal. Home equity agreements are offered by Unlock Home Equity Solutions, Inc. In certain states, NMLS number 2657081. Visit www.consumeraccess.org for more info.
The way he went to the net, had several chances, just, really good. The other guy who really is surprising me at how good he's playing, Justin Brazeau. He had a lackluster, mediocre, blah, what the heck's so special about this guy? Training camp. Now, he is 6'5", 6'6", and 230 pounds or so. So he's got size. He also has hands. He's scoring goals not just by, going to the net and being bigger than somebody and taking away the goalie's eyes or, deflecting things. He is scoring goals that are creative. He's setting up goals. He danced around Macklin Celebrini, takes the puck to the house and shovels a perfect backhand over to Anthony Mantha over the defenseman's stick. He did that I don't know how many times against LA and against San Jose, where not only was he strong on the wall, able to come off the wall with the puck, but then be creative with it. That is such a rare skill, or a rare combination of skills. If Brazeau were a little quicker, he'd be a $10 million guy. As it is, he is already approaching the production you would expect from a $1.5 million guy. What does he have? 5 points, 4 goals, 5 points in 6 games. If he hits 10 points for $1.5 million, you're like, yeah, okay. That's about what we expected. And he's going to get there in October at this rate, the way he and Evgeni Malkin are playing. The other player that might surprise you that I'm about to back the dump truck to and heap some praise upon is Erik Karlsson. Erik Karlsson is never going to be a consistently good defender. That's just not him. What you hope in the defensive zone is that Erik Karlsson is engaged. Definitely that. He is really zipping around the ice. And I mean, he's distributing the puck from the top of the zone. He's joining the rush. I think I owe him a conversation this week and very soon to talk about the system and how it benefits him, because he seems infinitely happier on the ice, more engaged. Now, maybe it's just the fact that he wants to make Team Sweden, and he hasn't yet been named to Team Sweden. Maybe it's because the San Jose Sharks owner basically backed the bus over him, ran him over and then backed up and did it again. Didn't quite say, did the Sharks owner, that he regretted the Erik Karlsson trade, but he basically did. He's like, well, when I think about the Erik Karlsson trade, I really think of the players we didn't get to draft. One of those being Tim Stützle. Whoops. Losing Josh Norris in the trade. And the Sharks owner did not do... Oh, he also said Erik Karlsson was not a team player. He did. The Sharks owner talks to the media once every several years. I believe he's German. And if you've known Germans, like authentic, like real Germans, not just German heritage, but like authentic Germans, they just say the truth as they see it. And it's kind of glorious. No thoughts of feelings or anything. I'm thinking, I could live in Germany. I could handle that kind of society. I would fit right in, I suppose. I dated a German woman for some time, a decade ago. Actually, really fun. Had a great time. Unfortunately, she was on a visa and went back and so on and so forth. But she had that same just... You say something and you're not expecting it, and boom, you get clocked with a response. And they're like, what do you mean? That's the truth. You're like, well, okay, yeah, that's the truth. The Sharks owner did that to Erik Karlsson. So either way, Erik Karlsson is playing really well. He did the same thing last November and part of December when the former Team Sweden coach ripped him to shreds. Karlsson kind of got got the motor going. And then by early January, it was sort of all over. This year, Karlsson is on his horse. You can figure out the motivation. I don't know. Obviously, Ben Kindel and Karlsson and Acciari had his best game. I like the way Malkin is playing, too. I really like the way Evgeni Malkin is playing. It's not old vintage Malkin where he's taking over games. It is an intelligent Evgeni Malkin. He's back-checking. He's forechecking. He might not be forechecking quite to Dan Muse's system, because I've noticed when Evgeni Malkin forechecks, everybody else has to figure out that he's forechecking. Because he just goes. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go forward. Muse's 1-1-3. Malkin is going to be, he doesn't care if he's not the one. He's going to become the one. He forechecks, like he always has, and just charges forward. But he's also putting up points, 9.6 games. That's some pretty good totals for the big man. You notice no one's talking about Evgeni Malkin retiring right now. No one's talking about trading Evgeni Malkin right now, except a couple of people who keep tying him to the Florida Panthers. But even that kind of got tamped down pretty quickly. No one's talking about that stuff because Malkin is playing so very well. Now, this is the dichotomy of the Penguins, and this is what I really wanted to get to, and these are the red flags. For those of you on the video side, I've got a couple of Kris Letang videos, which were in the red flags story on PittsburghHockeyNow.com. I'll tell you what. Here's where we take a break. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break. The video will continue. The podcast is going to pause for a second for Odyssey to catch up. And then we've got, the red flag players who are really not holding up their end of the bargain or are off to a very bad start. And it could be a problem right after.
Are high-interest credit cards or personal loans weighing you down? Unlock gives homeowners a smarter option. With a home equity agreement, you can tap into your home's equity for cash today. There are no monthly payments. Here's how it works. Unlock provides funds upfront and in exchange, shares in a portion of your home's future value. That means you keep control with the flexibility to use your equity your way. Pay off bills, invest in home improvements, or set aside savings for peace of mind. For thousands of homeowners, Unlock has been the key to moving forward without the pressure of another payment. Put your equity to work for you. Visit unlock.com to learn more about a home equity agreement. That's unlock.com to learn more.
Terms and conditions apply. Not all homeowners will qualify. Not available in all states. Actor Portrayal. Home equity agreements are offered by Unlock Home Equity Solutions, Inc. In certain states, NMLS number 2657081. Visit www.consumeraccess.org for more info.
After this. Okay, so talking about Kris Letang. I'm going to just be very blunt and honest that his skating does not look as good. He does not look as aggressive on the ice. He's, in turn, finding himself in some bad spots. And by that, obviously the Penguins shut out the San Jose Sharks 3-0 Saturday. Letang was only scored for a couple of turnovers. I had him for at least 4, and I think 5. Not just a handful of turnovers, but a few times letting players behind him or inside, getting the inside lane. For the video side, here is that play where he turns it over to William Eklund. Oh no, he turns it over. Blind backhand pass at the blue line. William Eklund intercepts it, rushes 2-on-2. Letang sags way back, plays a big giant gap. So in addition to the turnover, now Letang is giving this guy a full head of steam coming across the blue line. Eklund whips a good shot. Jari makes a good save. But then Letang, because he played such a big gap, is now in no man's land. He's neither able to defend the player or the puck. So when there's a rebound, Eklund goes straight to it and gets a second really good whack. That's what you saw there. That's a problem. 3 mistakes, boom, 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 rapid fire. Here's the other time where Eklund, 3-on-2, Eklund just takes the inside lane. Letang, I'll play that again. Letang, as the strong side defenseman, has to step to the middle and take away that lane from Eklund. You can watch it right here again, right up the middle. And Letang was kind of watching the flank, even though Brian Rust had come back into the play to take that pass away. That's a problem. Was it Eklund or... Yeah, it was Eklund or Celebrini got behind Letang once, and Jeff Skinner got behind Kris Letang. That's where Letang just punched him. Whether he got like his upper arm or got the side of his head, it depends on the camera angle. In real time, I was 100% sure. And even the backside replay seemed to show that Letang just punched Skinner in the head. That was, listen, it worked. That was the defense. That's a giant red flag for the Penguins because Letang is playing almost 22 minutes a night and is essentially their top defenseman still. You can't have your top defenseman continuing to make this many mistakes and this many turnovers. If you are going to make this many turnovers, you have to pack on the points as well. But Letang has 1 assist in 6 games and no goals. So that's a giant red flag for the Penguins. Another red flag for me is, and this isn't in the column, by the way. This is you and me talking about it. Tommy Novak. Dan Muse sort of pumped his tires a little bit in San Jose, saying he didn't appreciate until recently, how complete Novak's game was, how much he does. I would say the coach was protecting his player there. Novak is supposed to be making an impact in the offensive zone. He's supposed to be, points, offensive chances. But Ben Kindel is handling it all on that line. And Ben Kindel and Philip Hollander were the two that were doing it in San Jose. And I asked Ben Kindel about Philip Hollander. He's like, yeah, he's so strong, and he's consistent. He essentially always knows what Philip Hollander is going to do and where he's going to be, and it's a good thing for the rookie to have, because not just is Tommy Novak a bit of a red flag, Philip Tomasino hasn't seized any of his opportunities to this point. Great guy. But I suspect his time is running short, because there is no way on God's green earth the Penguins can send Ben Kindel back to juniors. Did you see the game Saturday? No chance in hell. Absolutely no chance. And so that's, that this kind of, I suppose, as I step back from the podcast and look at it, I'm creating a singular casserole for this team. From some chafed veterans who were trying to figure out how to be good teammates, to being scratched and playing a great game following it. I would say Ben Kindel did that. I would say Noel Acciari did that. I would also say Caleb Jones did that. Jones was really good in San Jose. Jones was really good. He held the blue line on the offensive side. He was able to skate. Since San Jose is not a big and physical and tough to play against team, his skill level was on display with his skating, and it just fit his style of game very well. That track meet feel, Caleb Jones was right at home, played exceptionally well. I mean, every player is going to make a mistake here or there. I always chuckle when I give a player like Caleb an A or an A+. There's always someone that says, well, what about that turnover in the second period? Or what about this play? I'm like, well, yeah. Go over Sidney Crosby's game. He's going to have a giveaway here or there, and a play that he'd want to do over again. Hockey is a game of mistakes. Everybody's going to have, a little one here and there, and you just hope that it's benign. And on Saturday, Jones' mistake was very benign. His other play was quite malignant to the Sharks as he whizzed up the ice, as he distributed the puck, and defended well in the defensive zone too. He was on his guy, keeping the net clean and, working the walls, so on and so forth. So I think that's about everything I wanted to really get to. Some guys are just having a start to the season that more resembles what I stepped in Los Angeles. I have no idea how that city is going to recover. It is going to take a dramatic change in thinking. The things that we saw. And it's funny, I got accused of playing politics, and let's just say interspersed amongst the Penguins media contingent are a variety of political...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard this Air France message. Your journey to France begins when you set foot on the plane, starting with a complimentary glass of champagne in every class. Now available in La Première and coming this November in Business Cabin, savor the tastes and flavors of an exclusive menu created by our new Michelin-starred French chef, Daniel Boulou, aboard our flights departing the U.S. Enjoy an exquisite taste of France before you arrive. Bon appétit! Elegance is a journey. Air France.
Opinions. I think everybody was mortified by downtown LA. That's the best word I can use for it. Just like, what in the world are we looking at? I cannot recommend that as a road trip. If you stay like Josh, he stays in Manhattan Beach, rents a car and drives in. It's like, Josh, that was brilliant. I stayed in downtown LA all week, took the Amtrak to Anaheim. Logistically, it worked very well. However, being in downtown LA, I mean, I'm just thinking 3 years ago, I was in the fashion district. I bought a suit and, I was strutting around, feeling pretty good about myself. Ate at some little funky places. And I was like, yeah, this is kind of cool. Those places are gone. The fashion district is largely tents on the sidewalk, just lined up. We drove through there at night from Anaheim, coming back to LA, and it was a sad scene, and I suppose that's kind of all I want to say about it. It's unfortunate. It kind of put a damper on the road trip for me. I mean, I worked. You know me. I work a lot, but I also like to get out and walk the cities, and I tried to do that, but I really found myself avoiding doing that because it was just so A, dangerous, B, uncomfortable, C, I mean, C, I come back to the hotel, despite knowing what was on the sidewalk and what to avoid stepping in. I somehow still stepped in something. So I get back to the hotel, I realize it. And I'm staying in this little 3-story boutique hotel hidden in downtown LA. Lovely little place, by the way. You have to know the code, opens this big black gate. It's kind of like the secret little place. And I see the housekeeper, and I'm like, oh, she clearly, she didn't speak more than a few words of English. I'm like, do you have a scrub brush? Because at this point, I get into the hotel, I grab the nearest garbage bag. Fortunately, the garbage can was empty. I just grabbed the garbage bag out of the garbage can and put my shoe in it. So I'm walking through the hotel lobby, very small, with one shoe on, shoe in a garbage bag. She knows what's up. She lives in LA. She understands. I didn't have to explain it. So I'm like, oh, you have a scrub brush. I need to clean my shoe. She's like, oh, I clean. I'm like, no, I'll clean. She's like, no. She just gives me like the grandmother, shut up, little boy. Takes it from me. It's poo. I'm like, yes, it's poo. And I kid you not, I at this point I was so ashamed or embarrassed that she was going to do this for me. I handed her all the money in my wallet. It was $40, but I handed her all the money in my wallet. She only took 20. I left the rest for a tip when she cleaned the room the next morning. It's yeah. So the Penguins didn't step in it. I did. And that's the end of No Pucks Given. And that's why, if you're watching the video side, I look a little worse for wear. Lots of 3 a.m. wake-up calls and plane rides and train rides and automobiles on this roadie. Glad to get home for most of the next week, although I will go to Florida. So like, share, comment, subscribe. I saved the travel stuff to the end for those of you who get all uptight. Kingerski, stop talking about your travel. I don't care. So I saved it to the end, so you can just turn it off. We'll do the live chat on Wednesday, and I appreciate every single one of you so much. And we're getting the subscription stuff fixed, and we're actually having a record subscription month in October. So thank you. I feel quite blessed by that. Despite the problems, you're coming along for the ride, and I'm going to just keep working myself as hard as I can and delivering as much as I can on this team for you. All right. Have fun. Later.
At Miristar Federal Credit Union, we are on the rise for our members and the communities we serve. They inspire us to keep moving, to keep reaching for more, so we can help them achieve their financial goals. Their stories are our stories. Since 1950, our deep roots have inspired 75 years of community trust. Together, side by side, we're on the rise. County Federal is now Miristar Federal Credit Union for everyone who dreams of moving forward while giving back. Federally insured by NCUA Equal Housing Lender.